Hi folks, welcome to this short video on the accounting equation. What we're going to show you now is how you can use the accounting equation and divide all of the elements of the accounting equation into its separate parts in order to solve for certain balances. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the accounting equation here, which is assets equals liabilities plus owner's equity. Assets are all the things that a company owns that have value. Things like cash, vehicles, land, building. Liabilities are debts, money they owe. They owe money to employees, to banks, to utility companies, if they have bills for utilities, if they owe rent, any of that. And owner's equity is what's left over once you use your assets to pay your liabilities. So any assets that are left once you pay off your liabilities is equity. We've learned so far in previous units that assets are of two types, current and non-current. Liabilities similarly, current and non-current. So you can see here that we've expanded the accounting equation to show the different elements that can make up assets. Current assets would be those amounts that are turned over quite frequently and that aren't on our balance sheet for more than a year. Things like cash, accounts receivable, we're always buying and selling. Non-current assets would be things like land, building, things that we don't intend to dispose of in the near future. Current liabilities similarly, things like accounts payable, interest payable on loans, and non-current liabilities could be long-term debts, long-term bank loans. So, let's have a look at this situation where we want to find out what the value of current assets are, given that we know non-current assets, we don't know total assets, we do know current liabilities, not non-current liabilities, not total liabilities, but we do know owner's equity and total liabilities and owner's equity. So you might be saying, my goodness, this is a mess. What am I doing with this? Well, let's have a look. If you know what non-current assets are, you don't know total assets, and you're saying, well, how am I going to find current assets when I don't know what total is? I know that current and non-current have to add to what total assets are, right? But I do know what total assets are. If I go back to this equation, I know that total assets are equal to total liabilities plus owner's equity, which is $500,000. So, in place of this, I could put $500,000. And that's going to be the same as my liabilities plus owner's equity. How do I know? Because that's what the accounting equation tells me. All right? Now, how am I going to use total assets and non-current assets to find current? Well, don't forget, current plus non-current gives you total, right? So I can actually solve here for current, and I know that it's going to be the difference between my total assets and my total my total assets and my total non-current assets, right? So I know that's $400,000. So now we still have to find non-current liabilities and total liabilities, but we do know that total liabilities plus owner's equity is going to give us total liabilities plus owner's equity, don't we? So if we just work this part of it, we know that our total liabilities must be $300,000. How do we know? Well, total liabilities plus $200,000, so we know, if I just draw a little arrow here, we know that this is in here, right? So if we know total liabilities plus $200,000 equals $500,000, shouldn't the total liabilities be $300,000? That's like solving one equation and one unknown. Now, can we figure out what our non-current liabilities are? Certainly we can. We know current and non-current are going to give us total, right? We already know current. So what number such that when we add 50,000 to it is going to give us 300,000? Well, that would tell us that our non-current liabilities must be 250,000 because current liabilities plus non-current liabilities give us total. So that's how you would find certain elements, sub-elements or subsets of assets and liabilities using the accounting equation. So I hope that this has helped you to understand the concept just a tiny bit better.